In 2025, I saw so many B2B companies pouring six figures into content marketing programs and barely getting any pipeline. The whole point of spending money on marketing is to get awareness that generates leads, that generates revenue. Now, if that was you, then you're gonna love this video because I'm gonna share how I helped my clients generate seven-figure pipelines while the landscape was completely shifting under our feet. Of course, we're gonna talk about AI, but there's so much more to discuss, including strategy, teamwork, technical buyer expectations, and a lot more. So let's dig into what's happened first, and then later we'll discuss what to do in 2026. And we'll have timestamps in the video description so you can navigate around the video. All right, now assuming your content wasn't just bad or full of AI slop, there are plenty of reasons why you had trouble generating pipeline. First of all, the world of content has changed. Search, for example, is no longer about matching keywords. It's about satisfying intent. And AI does that better than any blog post, which means fewer people click. But the ones who do click and get to your website, they're more serious than they used to be. Now, more than ever, those buyers, they don't want to talk to sales. They want to self-educate, which means bottom of funnel traffic is so much more important than it used to be. And another problem to add to all of this, nobody really knows what they're doing right now or how to adapt with all this AI stuff happening. Now, Ahrefs has a great article about all of this called AI's Impact on SEO, published in November 2025. And it reinforces a lot of what I've been sharing in my videos for the past several months. When you search the internet, you're no longer going through this big search algorithm with traditional rankings based on links and all that stuff. Now you're going through a large language model that's being layered into how search works. And it's using different methods of using your keywords. So now it's like less relevant as the LLMs are trying to understand the contexts of your searches better. In other words, they're looking at the connotation of your words instead of just the words themselves, which puts less weight on keywords and old traditional methods of SEO. Now, LLMs are also providing more top of funnel answers, resulting in zero-click search, which means fewer people are clicking past the AI overviews at the top of the search results page. Now, according to Ahrefs, even, quote, top ranking results are losing a third of their clicks. It's especially bad for informational keywords. Ahrefs even cites a report that shows Google's AI mode has a nearly 100% zero-click rate, meaning users are living entirely within the AI and only clicking when they want to go and buy something. This means that you need high quality bottom of funnel content, not just to address people's questions when they're looking to purchase, but also for the LLMs themselves. Your content must address the questions that people are asking their AIs. Now, on the downside, you won't get as many people visiting your website or reading your content directly, but on the upside, the people who do click, they'll be more likely to buy, and it's really just a matter of providing them with the content they need. So for my clients, we've been adding FAQ content to the bottom of every article and page, sourcing questions from salespeople who have regular conversations with potential buyers. Now, I've been harping recently on this Gartner stat that about 75% of buyers never want to talk to sales. So your bottom funnel content needs to serve that purpose. And I've also been harping that content is the new discovery call. So with top of funnel content being delivered entirely by AI, you must address the needs of the people who are looking to buy when they are ready to buy. So bottom of funnel content is the way to do that. And it's not that you don't need top of funnel content anymore, because buyers will probably click around on your site to make sure you address their high level concerns. But you really need that bottom of funnel content, and it really needs to be engaging, accurate, and useful, which means AI is probably not an option for putting it together. Now, while everyone else has been saying SEO is dead, I've been saying for a year now that easy SEO is dead. And borrowing from Frank Zappa, that SEO isn't dead, it just smells funny. Now, in reality, SEO isn't even close to dead, and I'm seeing the most keen marketers thrive by really targeting bottom funnel keywords and getting high conversions. As I've always told clients, you don't need 1,000 people per month hitting your website. You just need the right 30 or 40 people visiting. You need to just get them to engage with your content. Well, now everyone's forced to believe it because nobody's getting 1,000 people per month or whatever the big numbers are anymore anyway, because All the traffic has been cut. So clearly the world of content has changed, and what worked 2 or 3 years ago is practically irrelevant. But you still need to invest in content to succeed. Now, the second reason you didn't generate pipeline in 2025 is because your content program has been more about publishing than about solving for buyer needs. If your marketing team is not working directly with your sales team on content, that's a huge miss. I have a whole video series about this with more than an hour of content about aligning sales and marketing. Essentially, marketing teams typically produce content they think the product team needs, and meanwhile, the sales team, they need this whole other set of content and marketing's not producing it, so they don't use the website, they don't use the stuff marketing puts together, and then they're stuck selling on promises and vibes and bringing in engineers to their calls to try to technologically or technically convince the buyer. And this leads to a lot of trust me bro sales conversations. And that doesn't work anymore. And buyers are more intelligent than that now. So guess what? Your competition is too. They can easily sweep in and beat you because they had a white paper and you didn't. Sales and marketing and product teams, they all need to work together, building entire pipelines designed for conversion. Your website shouldn't be a museum where you hang your accomplishments on the wall and ask people to read the placards below. It should be a sales funnel where everything you publish is about moving someone through a buyer's journey. Marketing programs are still being optimized for old school SEO like page views and ranking. They ignore AI summaries, in-app search, and social sites like Reddit or Hacker News. They have KPIs that aren't aligned with sales teams. So they end up producing all of this content that has so little impact. And marketers also aren't focused on the technical requirements for B2B SEO because they lack expertise. They don't know how to pass core web vitals. They don't know how to update meta tags for appropriate display on social networks. And they don't know how to ensure their pages are structured for LLM crawlers. Now, maybe that's not everyone, but a lot of the marketers I talk to, they don't know how to update the plugins on WordPress so things don't crash afterwards. So it is technical and it takes a lot of different expertise. If any of this describes your SEO and digital marketing program, then you really need to change it up in 2026. You're going to have to get more technical, more comprehensive, and more focused on metrics that truly matter. I have seen at least a half a dozen marketing teams in the past year get completely axed, including one last week at a former client, because they are producing numbers that don't move the business forward. Vanity metrics matter less than ever. All that matters to founders right now is pipeline. Now, the business is chasing revenue and customers, not impressions. So if you're not producing leads that fill the pipeline, you might look just like an expensive cost center that execs want to replace with AI. But that's not going to happen to you because you're here and you're ready to change things up with our 2026 content system. It is a comprehensive approach that's built on 4 phases: strategy, build, sales kit, and distribution. Now let's talk through each of them. All right, phase 1 focuses on strategy. Instead of starting with topics to write about, start with questions your buyers actually ask, and not these high-level awareness level questions like what is fill in the blank, but deal closing questions. Like, I primarily work with B2B SaaS and technology companies, so I'll make sure that we have content that answers technical questions like what does it integrate with? How hard is it to implement? How long until we see ROI? What about compliance and governance? How do you do encryption? All that kind of stuff. These are the questions that should shape your content plan. You map them to the buyer's journey so that each answer lives in the right place, and you want to build a content calendar that helps the sales team tell the market about what the product team has delivered. For example, Q1 might be all about SAP integration, so you can sell that to customers who already use SAP, and then both product and sales teams can strategize around how are we going to reach people who use SAP, and you as a marketer, you could do the same thing. And Q2 might be all about, let's say, healthcare functionality. So you can sell to customers who are in the healthcare industry, and then you can prep before the Q2 starts, not just your content, but how you're going to distribute it and reach those people. So your product and sales team should be able to help you put together large lists of questions that they are likely to hear from prospects and purchasing teams. Now, speaking of purchasing teams, you want to make sure that you include the entire team's concerns in your bottom funnel content plans. You might primarily sell to, let's say, IT directors, but you need to build the content to help the CFO vote yes too, especially if the CFO doesn't know anything about what you are selling them. Now, the second phase of my plan is to build. Once you know what questions to answer, create one flagship asset per quarter or per month if you can, and have it tackle a high value decision point. Something like a white paper, a solutions guide, a comparison guide, a field manual, a cost breakdown, a deployment checklist, a readiness checklist, anything that is valuable to a buyer and helps them make an informed decision. They don't need blog articles nearly as much as they need helpful tools. So focus on, how do we help them solve their pains? How do we help them answer questions? And then from there, you can build out all of the supporting pieces like short videos, FAQs, one-pagers, landing pages, tutorials, all sorts of stuff. Make it connect everything together. I call these sets of related documents content stacks, and they're minimally viable content that will help a buyer make a purchasing decision. You want to serialize them so a buyer can move from start to finish. Now, I usually do this via email sequences. So email 1 has this attachment, email 2 has this PDF, email 3 has this link to this article. So it's very ordered and it's got a logical flow through it. And if possible, you can do this on your website, but that's usually a problem because here's the thing about websites. They're usually designed, like I said, like museums. They showcase your achievements, your awards, your product features. It's all backwards looking. Nobody goes to a museum to make a purchase decision. Your website should be a funnel or a store. Every page, article, and case study should move a buyer closer to decision. And your content is the method of doing that. The CTAs bring everything together. They connect all of your content. So you need strong CTAs. You got to get rid of learn more, get in touch, get started, book a demo, all these nonsense CTAs. Those are exit signs. They're not invitations. I just made a whole video about the top 5 worst CTAs and what to replace them with. A good CTA connects the dots. Like they might read something about integration or, like a hero content and it says, see how it integrates. Download the migration checklist, compare deployment models. Each one keeps your buyer moving. You should be able to map out your entire buyer's journey through your content. So each content stack is like a mini highway that might offer exits or transitions to other highways or points of interest. You want to map it all out and make sure you're covering all the ground from where they start and where you want them to finish. Remembering that it takes at least 7 touches with your brand before they even remember who you are. Okay, phase 3 is all about sales. This is where content becomes sales enablement. You take the flagship asset and you package it for your reps. One-pagers, ROI calculators, email snippets, slide decks, whatever format your sales team needs and actually uses that proves effective. The goal here is to help your sales team have better conversations without dragging your product managers or engineers into repetitive discovery calls that serve almost nobody. Because if every deal requires a subject matter expert just to move forward, your content isn't doing its job. I just released a whole video series about this at edifycontent.com. Click Better Sales Content in the navigation bar and you'll see our various free in-depth video series. Now to wrap everything up, Phase 4 focuses on distribution and measurement. This is where most teams fall apart, honestly, and content loses all of its potential. They do all this production and can't get anyone to engage with it, read it, whatever. Marketing teams will blow the entire budget on production and then hope that someone finds the content. In 2026, I'd say budget as much for distribution as you do for creation, possibly even more. If you paid $1,000 or $2,000 for an article or a white paper, that's really cheap, but you're going to spend thousands of dollars promoting it if it's really a core asset. Think paid LinkedIn ads, partner newsletters, community posts, retargeting. You push your content to where your buyers already are. You can always pay to get your content in front of the right eyeballs. You don't have to do everything organic and low cost. And be sure to measure the right things along the way. Try different, ad copy, A/B test things. Look at the metrics, see who's responding to what. You can cookie people. I mean, a lot of marketers have way too much information about who's visiting the websites, but you can find out all of this information about how they're engaging with your content every time they come back and visit, or every link they click in the emails that you send them, whatever it is. Deprioritize your dashboards, like your analytics dashboards, page views, and impressions metrics. Instead, prioritize pipeline, content-assisted opportunities, time to meeting, stage conversion, and intent. If you're you're not influencing revenue, the content doesn't matter. Remember, an AI can produce content easily and publish it on your website. So your human differentiator needs to be about moving the needle and implementing a plan to get those leads. When you look at your website like it's a sales machine, you can stop thinking in terms of publishing and frame all of your content and marketing efforts in terms of revenue, leads, and conversions. Your blog posts can connect to your white papers, which connect to your one-pagers, which connect to your demo request, and that becomes your buyer journey, for example. In 2026, you cannot afford to treat content like marketing wallpaper. Remember, content is your discovery call, it's your sales deck, it's your follow-up email, all rolled into one unified effort. The companies that win will be the ones that connect every piece of content into a system that makes buying easy. If you want to see how this works in practice, subscribe and check out the rest of my videos. I break down a ton of examples and walk through real campaigns that have landed 5, 6, and 7-figure deals for our clients using this exact system. It's not rocket surgery. It's pretty straightforward. It's just that it's comprehensive and a lot of people have a hard time, integrating the efforts of all these different teams. It's just a strategy reset. And in 2026, if you need help, just let us know. edifycontent.com, leave a comment, whatever you need to do, we'll happily talk to you for free and get you through all of it. All right, thanks a lot.